Hi everyone, I wanted to come back to you because there's been some updates in the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. President Biden sent out requests for comments about the program. People were saying was wrong with it. Some people say, how much time you got? So apparently they've listened and there are going to be some major changes coming to the Public Service Loan Forgiveness as of early of next week. So stay tuned. I'm going to talk to you about some things that are coming down the pipeline and what you should be doing to prepare for it. Let's talk about it. Okay, if you haven't already watched my video about how to qualify for the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program, I suggest you go back to that after you watch this video because they go hand in hand. But in a nutshell, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program is a loan forgiveness program for student loans to forgive the loans you have if you work in the public service or profit sector. You have to make a certain amount of qualifying payments, be in a certain type of loan, and after 120 payments, the government will wipe out your remaining student loan debt and you'll be free and clear. That's that in a nutshell, right? The problem with the program in the past has been that people have been denied forgiveness after what they thought they've done all the requirements. What has been happening is perhaps they haven't made payments on a loan that was a qualifying loan. It has to be a federal backed loan. So they may have had the wrong kind of loan program, or they were on the wrong repayment plan. There's different types of repayment plans, and they may have been on the wrong one and did not know it until they applied. So what I'm going to talk today about is a couple of things that you probably should be doing because there are going to be some major changes. As of today, October 2nd, I'll put the article up, but there's an article talking about as of early next week, they're going to be announcing, the Biden administration is going to be announcing some changes to the program that may grandfather in some people that were previously denied or that previously had some payments that didn't supposedly count. So what I want you to do is this. Before we even get into anything, I told you in the other video that you should probably be certifying your employment every year so that what happens is the company or the loan servicer takes account of whether the loan qualifies and tells you how many payments you have left. So I said you should be doing it every year just so that you can get basically a pulse on what's going on with the loan forgiveness, like how far you've come and how far you have to go. So I printed it out and I want you guys to go do this right now. Go Google Public Service Loan Forgiveness Employment Certification Form. It's OMB number 1845-0110. And this is what it looks like. And it is a 6-page document, but actually only the first 2 pages of what you're going to have your employer sign. So, I don't know if this is backwards to you guys, but these are the only 2 pages you have to turn in. The other 4 pages are basically instructions on how to complete the form, right? But I would suggest you print this out, go to your HR rep that's qualified to certify your employment. Make sure, like I said, it has to be in the a government agency or a nonprofit to be able to qualify for employment. And what it does, it says like, based on the last time you submitted the form, you still are working for that particular agency. One of the particulars about the program is that some people may not have known this. When you apply for the loan forgiveness, let's say you made all 120 of your payments, don't quit your job the day after you submit the form. You actually have to wait until you get that confirmation that it was forgiven. And so you have to be in that position when you apply for it and when it's forgiven. So get your HR rep to fill it out. It's pretty straightforward. Your name, you need your social security number, your address, and you certify that you're working for the government agency or the nonprofit. Your employer fills out the 2nd page and they sign it. So it has to be a representative from your employer that fills it out. And it doesn't take that long. When I've done it in the past, I've sent it to my HR, scanned it over. They scanned it over and sent it back to me, and then I uploaded it to the website. So I would suggest, if you haven't already done this at least once, to do it today so that you can be one of those people you may end up getting grandfathered in for the new exceptions that they're making to the rules. So stay tuned what they're going to be making the changes to, because I think that's important. I think the people that previously may have been denied may end up getting approved in the long run based on these changes that the Biden administration is talking about doing. And they haven't made the official announcement yet, but they're talking about doing it. So I would say get in line, because when you're already ready, you ain't got to get ready. Comment below if you already have submitted your forms. I want to know if you watched the other video, you've made some changes and now you're feeling way more hopeful about it. I know there's been a lot of hesitation, a lot of like, it doesn't work. Even like Dave Ramsey has talked about, like, it doesn't get forgiven. People forget about it. Don't count on it, right? So I think there's been a lot of discouragement amongst people, but I want you to comment below. Let me know, what you think about it. Are you now going to submit your form so that you can possibly get your student loans forgiven? Okay, another aside, if you watch my other video about there are several student loan servicers actually leaving the federal student loan realm. They're saying we're not going to manage any more the federal government student loans, and Fed Loan was one of them. Go back and watch my other video if you haven't seen that yet about Fed Loan leaving that, and if a lot of people have Fed Loan as their servicers, they're going to be actually serviced by another agency, or another company. But not only did Fed Loan was a servicer of some people's student loans, they were actually the contractor for managing the public service loan forgiveness program. So they were the ones actually approving or denying people's loan forgiveness forms. So whether you had Navient or Great Lakes, something, whether you had whatever service you had, if you applied for the public service student loan forgiveness program, you actually went through Fed Loans. So now that Fed Loans is actually leaving this arena, it's going to be interesting to see who manages this program, who managed the approval and denial of it. And so kind of people are waiting and seeing, like, there may be some challenges with just finding a new loan servicer, but also one that actually handles the program in addition to just regular posting payments of people's student loan payments. So watch my other video to tell you like what to do, if you have Fed Loans as a regular servicer. And now if you also are going to apply for the program, Fed Loans leaving is going to impact you as well. So some things to do to kind of mitigate the changes that may be happening for you in the next couple of months, because I think Fed Loans contract ends with the federal government as of December 31st. So as January 1st, there's going to be a lot of changes that apply to just the student loan payments and the student loan forgiveness program. Okay, so the biggest problem, so when Biden asked kind of like, what's the problem with the public service loan forgiveness? The biggest problem, as I mentioned before, was like people were paying with loans that were not federally backed, so they didn't consolidate under a federally backed loan, and that didn't count for this program. And the other program was they were making payments on a not approved repayment program. So remember I mentioned that there was 6 pages to this document. The last 4 pages of it is basically instructions. If you go to page 4 of page 6, it tells you about the types of repayment programs that are approved for the program. So it says your payments must be made under a qualifying repayment plan. Qualifying repayment plans include the repay plan, the pay plan, the IBR plan, and the ICR plan, and the 10-year standard repayment plan, or any other direct loan repayment plan. But only payments that are at least equal to the monthly payment amount that will be required under the 10-year standard repayment plan. So if you were making payments and they weren't on one of those qualifying plans, then that could possibly be the reason why your forgiveness form didn't get approved. So what was going to happen is the Biden administration said they're going to go back and see if people were possibly led astray about what repayment program they were on, and that was the reason why it got denied. What could happen is they can backdate and say, we'll still count some of those payments, which could mean the world to some people, because let's say you were paying on the wrong plan for 11 months, 2 years, and those 2 years payments didn't count. What I hear, they haven't announced it yet, but what I hear is that they're going to go back and say, okay, now we'll count some of those payments. And that could mean that some people can be right at the end of their journey, right? This could mean that, okay, now they're actually going to get it forgiven because they've made all their qualifying payments, because now you've taken into account some of these missed payments that they didn't have. So that's a positive thing. Another one is they'll look to see if maybe you were on the wrong student loan, and they'll say, okay, you were led astray about what the loan program you were supposed to be on, and now you didn't have certain payments counted. We'll go back and backdate. If you watch my video, that happens to some of my loans, and I was basically paying on the wrong kind of loan for 11 months. So some of my loans are 11 months behind the other loans because I consolidated under the federal program after the fact. They weren't private loans, but they weren't under these particular kind of approved loans for this program. So they're an 11-month delay. So this might benefit me too, because I was basically almost like gypped of 11 months because I was making payments on a loan that didn't qualify. But if they actually go through what they say they are, I may get credit for those 11 months that I was paying on those loans that were on a particularly not approved program. So I'm interested to see what the Biden administration is going to talk about, but I think it could positively impact people. And I'm glad they kind of put a notice out to people and say, comment and let us know what's going on. What's the problem? Because although we don't have an official student loan forgiveness, because this, like I said, is only for people who work in the government and nonprofit. They don't have a general one for just everybody yet, but this is the biggest one. There are some state programs. Some people have commented in the comment section. There's state programs they have loan forgiveness. It doesn't necessarily compare to this one. Sometimes it's for specific professions, maybe teachers or first responders or nurses or things of that nature. This program is not for a particular profession. It's just if you work in the government or nonprofit. That's a wider basis for people to apply to the program. And a lot of those other programs, they have a cap on what they'll forgive. So let's say they'll forgive $10,000. If you have $100,000, that is not going to be as helpful as this program, which will say you make 120 payments and I'll forgive whatever else is left over afterwards. So I think that's the biggest difference between the state ones and the one that is basically this one that's paid for by the federal government. So keep that in mind. I really am interested to see. I'm going to keep you updated when the official news comes out. But I wanted to make sure you knew that it was coming so that you go and fill out your paperwork. It doesn't take long. I don't know why you haven't done it yet. I mean, it won't hurt you to fill it out. It really won't. So I would say go ahead and do that so that you can possibly get some loans forgiven, and that'd be less that you have to worry about in the future. So I'll see you soon when I see that announcement. Be looking for the video. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you're the first to see the video when it pops up. Okay.